Today, let's dive into the untold story of Tom Mboya, a towering figure in Kenya's independence struggle, his political philosophy, the forces behind his assassination, and why he had to die. Was it his vision, his alliances, his tribe? I also don't know. So let's find out about his ideals and his enemies together. And the disclaimer is, unlearn to learn. Thomas Joseph Mboya was born in 1930 and he wasn't your average mind. Why? He was an academic powerhouse since he attended Alliance I, Makerere University and later Ruskin College, Oxford. This journey shaped his pragmatic and internationalist outlook, setting the stage for his rise as a leader. But no, that was not it. At 25, the British captured him and took him for the training in Ruskin, where the British trained union workers away from communist roots. Then the Americans paraded him in the US as the new African liberation voice. Put a pin on that, since we shall revisit. Moving on. Tom was married to Pamela Odede on January 20th, 1962. Here's a glimpse of them on Rusinga Island around 1961, captured during the warmth of their courtship, just moments before they married in January 1962. It was during this year in February, by the way, when Mboya was discovered to be a CIA agent. Yep, you heard me right. Have a look at this. Whatever you do with that information is up to you. I just thought you should know as early as of now. Now, at independence, Kenyatta's government was a fragile coalition of two factions. The moderates, led by Jomo Kenyatta and Tom Mboya, sought stability and ties with the West. On the other hand, the radicals, led by Oginga Odinga and Bildad Kagia, pushed for nationalization, equity and pro-Eastern policies. Kenyatta and Mboya, representing the moderates, prioritized foreign investment, gradual reforms, and preserving ties with Britain. You see the British influence we are talking about, like when they captured Mboya? Yep, that's the case. They believed in pragmatic approach to grow Kenya's economy while maintaining political stability and international goodwill. Odinga and Kagia, the radicals, wanted bolder steps, seizing settler farms without compensation, nationalizing foreign-owned businesses, and aligning with the Eastern Bloc. Their vision clashed with the moderates, deepening tensions in Kenya's new government. The divide wasn't just economic but also cultural. Radicals, led by Odinga, focused on Mau Mau compensation, land reform, and egalitarianism, the doctrine that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities, while rooted in Luo identity. Moderates, led by Kenyatta and Mboya, favored elite dominance, law and order, and Kikuyu-centric nationalism. This ideological battle climaxed at the rigged 1966 KANU Limuru Conference, where the moderates consolidated power, sidelining radicals, and securing a centralized state aligned with Western growth models. This move irreconcilably deepened the rift between Mboya and Oginga Odinga. Remember, they were tribesmen. Oginga Odinga resigned as vice president in April 1966, shortly after the rigged KANU Limuru Conference. His resignation was a direct response to the sidelining of the radicals. Luos saw Tom Mboya, their tribesman, as a betrayer for aligning with Kenyatta's capitalist agenda. Here's the thing though, remember when I told you to put a pin on that? The British trained union workers away from communist roots. Yep, that's why he is a pro-capitalist. Mboya and Charles Njonjo played central roles in dismantling federalism in Kenya, pushing for a centralized unitary state. Through constitutional amendments and political maneuvering, they abolished regionalism and crushed multi-party democracy, cementing KANU's dominance. After the ouster of the pro-Odinga radicals from KANU, mostly Luos, and his subsequent resignation, the contest for presidential succession continued, but it was now between the Gatundu group of Kiambu insiders and Mboya and his allies. By May 1968, Kenyatta's health declined and power shifted close to his allies. Tom Mboya, influential in the party and civilians, found himself excluded from the succession struggle. Despite his importance, Mboya lacked Kenyatta's support for the presidency. Mboya's political ascent was stifled by the 1968 constitutional amendment, which shifted presidential succession from parliament to direct nationwide election. Politics is a dirty game, man. Anyways, this move, led by Jonjo and Moi, effectively bypassed Mboya's strong support in the assembly. Jonjo and Moi's successful push for this change ensured that succession would be decided by the party and by the electorate and not parliament. This was to sideline Mboya, who had majority support in parliament. In the event of Kenyatta's death, the interim presidency would now go to Moi, who was the vice president, followed by a general election in which the Gatundu KANU faction would ultimately install their own. However, this was later countered by Moi. There were also 2 attempts to raise the minimum age for a presidential candidate from 35 to 40, designed to exclude Mboya, who was 37 by then. Tom Mboya remained the most significant non-Kikuyu in the government, always unsure of his constituency in Nyanza, but popular amongst urban voters. He offered a fresh-faced alternative to the acquisitive behavior and ethnic agenda of the Kikuyu elites. Kenyatta relied on Mboya as the KANU Secretary General, minister and intellectual powerhouse. He was still the most popular candidate to succeed Mzee. The change to the succession law had reduced but not eliminated his chances, as he was rumored to control half of the party branches. With Odinga on the defensive, the Gatundu group launched a concerted effort to weaken Mboya during the 1968-1969. This led to Mboya and Moi becoming key figures in a near-open conflict. There were 2 factions in KANU. The Gatundu group, now comprised of Jonjo, Mungai, Moi, Koinange, Gichuru, Mackenzie, and possibly Kibaki. Mboya's group, backed by ministers Samuel Ayondo, Ngala, Nyaga, Sagini, Mwendwa, and J.D. Otiende. Now, here is the straw which broke the camel's back, or let's say, things got darker. On 29th January 1969, Minister Clement Agwins Kodhek died after what was reported to be a car crash in Nairobi. Again, on 5th July 1969, Tom Mboya was murdered, shot dead in a Nairobi street by a lone gunman. Some believed these were assassinations by Gatundu faction. Others say he was set up by the system. How? You enter the imperial system young, naive, and learning, and just when you are at the moment when it starts to make sense, which is 32 to 42 inch range, that's when the empire hits back. They suppress, assassinate, and start to bring in the 25-year-olds who don't quite get what faced their older siblings. Damn. To this day, the reason as to why he died and who did it remains a mystery. Anyways, to add on that, Pamela Mboya fainted 3 times during the procession and had to be supported, and when she finally made it home, she said, "They killed Tom because he was a good man. If he had a streak of badness in him, he would be alive today." On the other hand, British High Commissioner Norris noted, "For the moment, the Luo have been collectively and decisively alienated. If an election were held tomorrow, KPU would probably win every seat in Nyanza and more elsewhere." To sum it all, could we say Mboya tried to be a tribeless politician in tribal politics? Let me know what you think about Tom Mboya in the comment section. Peace.